There are times in my life when I have a hard time relating to myself, getting in touch with my own emotions, and I repress for several reasons. I think the main reason why I and other people repress their emotions is because society and all its different variations, whether it's your family, it could be your school, friends, society at large, just all different levels of society, basically tell you this kind of behavior should not continue. But you feel the desire to have that kind of emotion, but um, I repress these emotions. And unfortunately, we turn into a ticking bomb when we do that. Repressing emotion doesn't mean that it just goes away. It gets bottled up and it gets accumulated and compounded, and even turning into a sabotaging personality in most of us. Now, hopefully some of us find a way to release some of the emotions, and this is really what I want to talk about in this video. It's something that I experienced all through my life, but then also recently. It was an experience that sort of it was conscious and allowed me to think about it and understand how this simple technique that I'm going to mention helps me sort of decompress, sort of, it's kind of like going to the sauna and you secrete all sorts of toxins out of your body by sweating. So this kind of activity is sort of like that, but for your mind, for your psychology, and, if you will, for your soul, if you believe in that. What is this? It's simply getting in the depth of any story, simply reading a book, reading a novel, listening to an audiobook, and empathizing with those characters. I don't know about you, but a lot of times I find it difficult for me to empathize with myself and with my own problems in life. And one of the many things that you and I have in common is problems. We all have problems in our lives. It's just a nature. Obstacles happen for all of us. However, when I'm introduced to other people's problems, even if it's fiction, I have a soft spot for that. I'm not capable of getting emotional and sort of allowing for those repressed emotions to come out for myself. But when it comes to Gregor in Metamorphosis, written by Franz Kafka, for example, which led to these thoughts, I felt so sad for Gregor and, of course, the other characters as well, but it was a way for me to not only cry for Gregor, get emotional for Gregor, but also for myself. It helped me to release my emotions. Someone else wrote a story, and years and years later, somebody else is reading that story, someone who has problems in their lives. Of course, everybody does, right? And this gives me a chance to release some of that emotion and feel a lot lighter afterwards, a lot healthier. Even tranquility and joy can come and take its place. So, really in this video, I want to suggest something that has been working for me to whoever wants to take this suggestion, and that is, if you're not doing it already, take up reading. Take up reading fiction, especially ones written by people from 100 years ago and maybe before, or from 100 years ago till maybe 40, 50 years ago. Of course, this is up to you. You can read anything you like. However, the type of stories that I'm referring to are the kinds of stories that are written with a lot of empathy. The writer had a lot of empathy in his or her own life for other people. The writer had a depth of understanding of people's psychology and human nature, and so they could create these characters as if they were real, and allowing me as a reader to sort of forget my own life situation and my problems and really just allow myself to look at things through the eyes of the characters, through the eyes of the writer, and really empathize with those characters and even get emotional and release some of my own pent-up emotion that I've been carrying maybe all my life, maybe from when I was very young. So this is a very, very powerful means by which we humans can release some of that pent-up energy and therefore heal. And also to practice empathy for one another. No longer will you walk or drive or any situation where you are encountering strangers or even friends and family members, and no longer will you treat them as just this shell. You will see them as people who have ranges of emotions much like you. And this happens really after reading these fictions, these novels, these short stories. I'm not saying this is the only way, but this is one of the best ways that has been working for me, and the whole reason I make this channel, or one of the main reasons I'm making this channel, is to show my thoughts, to show my process, my progress, my thoughts, to share some of the things that work for me. And if somebody else is watching this, and even if it gives them a little bit of hope, or a little bit of a spark of an idea of something to try, maybe you're interested in developing your empathy for other people, and especially in these days. Based on my experience, I don't sense a whole lot of empathy from most people, unfortunately. However, luckily we have access to all these amazing works that empathetic people have written. They also exist in audiobook versions. So I'm not going to blab about it too much. To concise it again, in order to release some of those pent-up, repressed energy, one of the best ways that I've found is to expose myself to these fictional stories and characters, and through them releasing my pent-up energy by crying for their obstacles, crying and getting emotional about their situation in life. It sort of becomes a bridge between their situation and mine, and allows me to release myself. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.